Welcome to another episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Reeves. Today with me, Alex Stadnick.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yay.
There we go.
How's it going? I'm excited to be here.
Good. It's like, I hope I'm being recorded.
Yes.
Brian Shea, how's it going?
Off to a great start on this episode of the Game Informer Show.
Perfect. And Jeff Cork.
There you go.
All right.
I love
People are automatically skipping to the next podcast.
Oh.
I love that you were so loud. Your mic was like, no, I'm not picking this up.
Exactly.
It's just that's incredible.
It's a peak performance
Oh,
in
yeah.
many ways.
Hey, that's good.
Not really.
Perfect. And peak, much like this episode, the peak of our existence right here. You heard it here first.
Mhm.
This is going to be the best episode and probably the best for a long time because we're talking about Avengers. They had an Avengers War Table yesterday, and we're going to dissect that thing and talk all about it. There's a Grounded beta out, and then, we've all been playing a bunch of other games, and we're going to talk about them. Then a bunch of other fun stuff. We got some surprises in store, and then obviously community emails. So let's get off to it. Brian Shea, what
Yeah.
has been on your playlist recently?
I have been playing Super Hot Mind Control Delete, which, if you played Super Hot, it came out a few years ago. And if you bought that game before this game came out, which was like July 16th, you got this for free. So it's basically like Super Hot, which is like a first-person shooter. It's a single-player game where everything in the environment only moves when you move. So you can like be strategic about what you do. So, if there's like 4 guys in front of you, you can choose, like you can sit there for a second and be like, all right, that guy has a shotgun. I should take him out first. And like look over at the table and be like, oh, there's a coffee mug. I can throw at him and make him drop his gun. And then charge at the other guy who has a gun and take him out before the other guy can recover, and then pick up the shotgun and blow them away. And like, at the end, if you're successful, it'll replay that sequence in real time, which is kind of cool. So it looks kind of like you're doing all this like Matrix style stuff. So that's the base game. And this new version, Mind Control Delete, it adds like roguelike elements. So you can hack the system and like unlock these different modifiers. So one is like, all right, it ranges from everything from like you have an extra heart in your run, so like an extra hit point, to things like, all right, you start every sequence with a random gun in your hand. So it's not like you're starting unarmed, or start with a katana, which you can flash through people, which is really satisfying, all the way up to like when bullets are coming close to you, they slow down, so you have like an easier ability to dodge. Or like if you kill enough guys in a row, it'll restore a hit point. And then there's also like different cores that you can have. Like there's one that gives you like this supercharge that like if you like it all operates on a cooldown. So like you can like press X once it's ready, and you can like charge forward and just do like a really strong melee attack on a guy. Or you can even switch bodies with like certain enemies. And it's just really satisfying to go from like person to person, just clearing out the room, and then you kind of go from floor to floor on like this node system, and each node is like a series of levels, and you have to complete them. And as you complete them, you can unlock more hacks that are it's just like a randomized, like, here are 2 options of the things that you've unlocked. Choose one perk to carry with you for the rest of this attempt. And if you like, they range from like 6 levels in a node to like 12 on the later stages, and you have to complete them before losing all of your health, or you have to start the node over. So that's how it's kind of like roguelike, and each run you can get different loadouts basically. So it's super
You might
fun.
need to repeat some of that because I tuned out after you said roguelike.
Yeah.
Is the roguelike stuff, does that like work? Because roguelikes get kind of a bad rap. I think there's a class of people who really like roguelikes and a class of people who don't. I'm one of the don'ts.
Yeah.
But occasionally I'll get into one. So is that done well?
Yeah, I don't like roguelikes either typically. Like I really love like the action and the gameplay of Dead Cells, but I just got really sick of that game because like I hated restarting every single time. But the way it works is you don't really lose larger progress, because like you only lose progress on the node that you're on. So, and like the levels within the nodes are like so quick hit, it doesn't really feel like I mean, even the longer nodes, it maybe takes like 10 minutes to get through. So like if you die, you just go back to the start of that node, or you can exit out.
That's nice.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
perfect.
so quick hit, and like as you complete the nodes, you unlock more things that will appear on like your pick 2 or pick 1 of these 2 like power ups.
Yeah, that sounds good. The thing I liked about that base game was the light puzzle element to it, because obviously things move when you move, so you could just stand still and figure out like, okay, I need to get this guy first, then this guy. So it took some of the stress out of it, but then just you could move the world so slowly that you could deflect bullets with your guns, which was cool.
Yeah.
Or like if you threw something, the thrown object moves faster than shooting things sometimes, which is weird, but it makes you feel like John Wick in a cool way.
Yeah, it
So
totally
yeah,
gives you
this
that.
might be worth checking out.
It's totally a Keanu Reeves simulator, whether you want to do Neo or John Wick. So yeah, totally.
Is this coming to VR, or is it exclusively
Right
on,
now?
like,
It's just
console and PC?
consoles.
Okay.
Consoles and PC.
So that VR Super Hot is a different game actually, but it's totally worth checking out if you like Super Hot. It's more of this, but different levels, so it's totally worth it. But yeah, Super Hot Mind Control Delete, is that what it's called?
Mind Control Delete. Yes, that's it. No, Mind Control Delete.
Perfect. Are you reviewing it?
I am trying to. It gets really tough at the end, and I just beat it last night, and it does this dumb thing. I guess light spoilers, where you have to leave your game on for 8 hours after you beat it, and then like you can go back in and do additional challenges afterwards, and it's really stupid. And I guess they've patched it on PS4 and PC, so it's only 2.5 hours. But yeah, that was not fun. I beat it, and I was like, well, it's a good thing I'm going to bed now because I'll just leave it on overnight.
What is that I don't get it. Never mind. I don't understand it.
It tries to do like some fourth wall breaking stuff, and some of it's pretty effective, and stuff like that. It's just annoying. I said originally it was 24 hours was how long you had to leave it on, but they made a decision to make it 8 hours prior to launch. So I'm glad they did that, but I also think it's a totally stupid thing.
Just to make sure I understand this, it's not a matter of just leaving it, like you don't turn it off and you're done, and you come back when the allotted time is up. You have to leave the system on for that period of time?
Apparently, if you turn the game off, it resets the timer. Like you have to leave it on the screen.
Oh my gosh.
They think you're cute. That's adorable.
Don't most consoles auto shut down if you're not playing them after a while?
You have to set it to not do that, which I did.
My gosh. That's fun.
Does the developer like pay your power bill for that month?
I know,
too?
exactly. That was kind of an annoyance, but I've left my Xbox on overnight before by accident, so I guess can't complain that much.
Great. So that's Super Hot. Brian,
but yeah, every other part of the game I really enjoyed, aside from like, just how difficult it can be. It was a little frustrating near the end, but it wasn't like impossible or unfair. So, but other than the weird, stupid ending thing, I think that game's definitely worth checking out.
You been playing anything else?
No.
No. I know you haven't been playing it, but the new Avengers War Table, just real quick, do you have any impressions on that? You got a pre-brief on some of it.
Yeah, so well, the big things that they covered in this War Table. So the first War Table was just like, hey, here's like a single player mission for the first time since we showed off like the opening mission at E3 last year. And then last time was you saw Thor and you learned about like the War Table, the War Table and the war zones and like the co-op and everything. This time they detailed the first post-launch hero, which is Hawkeye. So all the post-launch heroes, villains, stories, everything is free, which is kind of cool. So like if you buy the game, you don't have to buy Hawkeye when it comes out, like however many months after the game launches. And the head of the studio actually told me that we will be surprised how fast these characters and stories come and how fast like Hawkeye will come after launch. So he didn't give me like an actual time, but he did say that it will be a surprisingly fast cadence that they'll be coming, which is I'm happy for. Like it seems like that's pretty cool. And he comes with like a story pack that kind of explains where he's been the past 5 years, because like the A-Day celebration that you saw, which ends with like the Golden Gate Bridge attack, that happens, and then the events of like the actual game happen 5 years later. Like they go into hiding and then they come out 5 years later. So this kind of explains like where he's been, what he's been up to, and like
that's something you think you'll be clamoring to learn is like where Hawkeye was. Be honest.
I mean, I don't know if they tell it
unless he was with like with cool Spider-Man or something, that'd be cool. But like, if it's just him, like, I don't know, man.
Is that why you? I thought that's why you wore purple today, because you were super hyped on Hawkeye.
No, it's not. I assure you, Hawkeye did not factor into any of my decisions today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They mentioned in the stream, they mentioned the Matt Fraction, David Aja, that run, which is like the best Hawkeye run. I mean, I read it and I don't care about Hawkeye, but that's a good run. And as far as I can tell, that's like the only good run that Hawkeye's ever had. Like, I just don't, as a character, he's not that interesting to me. But apparently fans were into it.
Yeah, I mean,
they're into whatever they're fans of, right? They're fans. That's what they do. I don't know.
People have been okay.
A quick question about Hawkeye. Does Hawkeye have powers?
He has a bunch of like gadgets. So like the way they described it was it's not really like a bow and arrow. Because I asked like, hey, you guys have been like making Tomb Raider games for a while now. Like, does that like transfer over like being able to do like Lara Croft's bow and arrow combat? They're like, actually, it was pretty different because like Lara's like kind of like slow and stealthy and like picking up guys from a distance and like getting into sniper range and hunting. Whereas Hawkeye is like super fast paced, like being able to like shoot off. He kind of deferred when I said bow and arrow. He was like, it's kind of like a gadget launcher because like there's all these different like status elements or status ailments you can inflict on guys that like are different from what other Avengers can do.
But like Lara Croft's bow, basically.
He said that like they kind of messed around with that with Lara Croft. He said like they really go hard with it in this. So I'm interested to see what they have. Like so far they've said like certain status ailments that aren't related to Hawkeye are like being able to shrink enemies with like PIM particles and like electrocute them and everything. So I'm assuming he'll have some of that as well. But like I'm really interested to learn like what his kit is like. So that's one part of the war table presentation today or yesterday. And then they also talked about the beta that is starting next week. It starts August 7th if you are PS4 pre-orderer, and then PC and Xbox One pre-orderers can start on August 14th, and then it goes open on August 21st. So it's like 20 missions that you can play. So you start off playing that opening Golden Gate Bridge sequence, and then you go and do 2 like single player missions, like offline single player campaign missions starring Miss Marvel and Hulk. And that also has a boss battle. So the Golden Gate Bridge mission has a boss battle with Taskmaster, where you're Black Widow fighting Taskmaster, which is kind of cool. And then this one has a boss battle against Abomination. So you get a little bit of Hulk action there. You get some Miss Marvel. And then it opens up once you complete those missions to do co-op. And you can do those either with friends online or you can do them with AI companions, which I'm really intrigued to see how they pull that off. Because if you've played any like game where it just fills in missing human players with AI controlled characters, like it can be just an abysmal nightmare. So I'm interested to see if they can actually pull it off to make it feel like they're, coherent individuals, and it's not like, oh, there's Tony Stark flying into the wall again.
So
that's how he does it actually in the comics a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
just confuses his enemies.
Character.
Yeah,
he's just drunk.
Reeves, you're a big comic guy, right?
Yeah.
So when Shay is talking about these legends like Taskmaster and Abomination, are your ears just perking up? Like, yes, I want to play in this world.
I'm not like, I know those characters. I'm like, oh yeah, those characters, cool. So yeah, I mean, Abomination's cool. It was funny during the stream because my stream audio is like 10 seconds behind. So they're like, an Abomination, and then they were showing this guy who looked like a robot, and I'm like, whoa, what's that? Did they redesign it like some crazy way? And then you're like, oh, 10 seconds later, like, oh, there he is.
Yeah.
So he's basically a Hulk monster.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was in the first, if you watched the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk, he was the bad guy.
I do like that one. I'll throw it out there. I like that one.
It's kind of the worst MCU movie, but okay.
Oh, I'd say Thor: Dark World is. But we can discuss that on our
debate that another
Marvel
time,
podcast.
You're wrong. It's okay.
Wow. Okay.
So Taskmaster was also in the Spider-Man game. He was like kind of like the bonus challenges. So if you played the Insomniac game, he's a familiar character. He wasn't like a main villain or anything like that, but he popped up and like you fought him a few times.
Taskmaster is kind of cool because he basically memorizes things. Like he has, I don't know what that term is. If you have that memory where you see something done and then you can immediately do the thing. So he'll just like sit there and watch old footage of Captain America fighting people, and then he's like as good as fighting as Captain America.
Yeah, and he's also unfortunate timing for Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics, but he was going to be the villain in the Black Widow movie that was supposed to come out a couple months ago. So that would have really probably boosted how excited people are for fighting Taskmaster in the beta. But I think comic fans will enjoy that. But so yeah, you can do war zones. So co-op, you can do drop zones, which are like smaller war zones. It's like single objective war zones. So like war zones are like big open areas you can go in and like do multiple objectives, almost like in Destiny, how you can go into like I forget what they're called, but like the big open areas, and then there's like, oh, there's a guy over here that we have to kill, and there's a thing we have to retrieve over there, and it feels like that. And then drop zones are the same thing, only single objective. And then there's harm rooms, which are like basically like training simulation.
I have one of those in my house.
Yeah,
Jeff, you're killing me today. I can't look at your screen.
Is the harm room like their version of the danger room, but they can't call it the danger room because of the X-Men license being tied up with other things?
Oh, no, it's much more nuanced than that, Jeff Cork.
It's something. They came up with a.
It's an acronym.
Acronym. That's the word I was looking for. It's like something.
But yeah, it's basically a danger room.
Augmented reality something.
Okay.
But yeah, it's basically like you can go in. There's like it'll give you a tutorial for a character that you're playing, and the characters that are available in the beta. There's Iron Man, Hulk, Miss Marvel, and Black Widow. So those are the characters you can play as. And Thor is not available in the beta, and Captain America, who you can play as him in the San Francisco scene in the opening, but other than that, you can't play as him.
Yeah, he's on ice. I'm sure he's part of the game.
That's good.
Yeah, he's literally dead in the opening scene, but I mean, he has to. There has to be a thing where it's like, oh wow, Captain America didn't die after all, and now he's a playable character once you beat the game.
Or it's going to be Sam Wilson, who's Falcon originally, and then takes on the mantle.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting timing if they put out the Disney Plus show where he is Captain America.
Only it'll be delayed again.
Yeah, except
all these stars were aligning, and then the virus had to push everything back. So, yeah.
I still see people complaining about this game online, and I don't think it's a game that shows well visually. I think you got to play it. So I'm excited for people to get their hands on it. And I want to see what the feedback is, and we're supposed to get some codes here, so hopefully we'll have some impressions to share with you guys in the coming weeks.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it starts August 7th is when the beta starts for people who pre-order on PS4, and then it just rolls out from there, as I detailed earlier.
Yeah. I love how much of the beta that I was surprised at how much content we're going to get with that. Whether that turns out to be good or bad, we'll see. I wonder if, I hope it's not a thing where people get like tired of it, but maybe that'd be a good indicator for them too. But the more they've shown since that E3 demo, the more I'm excited for it. And if this is like the best version of something like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I guess I'm okay with that. Like, I'm excited for that. So.
And I've always been kind of, I guess, more enthusiastic about this game than other people. Like, I remember I went and saw the E3 demo, and like there was all this buzz around E3 last year of like, oh my god, it's such a disaster. And like Ben Hansen and I went and saw it together, and we came out and it's like we were both looking at each other like, that wasn't amazing. It didn't blow me away, but it wasn't like the train wreck that everybody kind of built it up to be. And sure. I think, and then I played it at Gamescom last year, and it was fun. I had problems with how Iron Man and Thor controlled, but other than that, it was fun. I'm hoping they shored up some of that stuff in the time since. They delayed the game since then, so I would imagine they did.
I think it's just a situation where you have arguably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, license, and if the best you can offer is it's fun, it's kind of like, where's that disconnect happening? And you have characters that are part of some really amazing stories and iconic, we'll use that word, and have a lot of amazing superpowers and are like, we like to spend time with them, and to have a game that you just walk away from and you're like, this might be a really good Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Best case scenario, it's like, oh geez. Yikes.
Well, speaking of iconic characters, like Max or Hoops, you know these characters, you love them. They're the characters of Grounded. Jeff Cork.
Yes.
That beta just released, and
it's true.
I played a little bit of it, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. How's Grounded?
It's that weird. It's not a beta. It's the early access / game preview release. So it's a really weird situation because Grounded, I wrote the cover story that we had on the issue a while back, and we had a lot of access to it, and it's interesting to see what has changed, and then just to see so much of what we saw was very clearly representative, like of what people are playing now. So I think the biggest change, you played a little bit too, right, Reeves?
Yeah, I sure did.
So like when we played it, it just kind of plopped you into the world, and then there was some like placeholder VO, and you're just kind of like, wow, where am I? What's going on? Here, like when you spawn and you're still, there's a little bit of, well, what's going on? Where am I? What's there? You notice that like you there's like a big empty back box next to you, you know, of like with little foam shaped like little guys. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, world building. That's what they call it.
Some world building, exactly. And it seems like they've kind of there was a lot of tutorializing some of the early stuff, and they've kind of pulled back a little bit on that in the version that people are playing now. So like they were really into introducing you to that Burgle character and all that stuff very early on. Now it's more of a mystery. So the pacing, I think, is a little more kind of like letting players discover things on their own. But I think the fundamental like loop of the game of like finding resources and crafting things is remained the same.
It's still there. Yeah, I'm not crazy about these survival type games where you start with nothing and build up. Like I play a couple of them, but I'm not crazy about them. Yeah. And I think part of it is just tonally. A lot of them are post-apocalyptic or like crazy horror experiences. But this one's nice because it's a little bit refreshing. It's a little bit more, family friendly, and just Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which is kind of a fun thing. So I don't know. I might keep up with it. We'll see.
Yeah, I should have backed up, and rather than talking about now there's a package next to you when you spawn, I should say, yeah, this is that game where you're shrunk.
Oh yeah, it's not a giant package.
It's being developed by like a team within Obsidian. I really love the way it looks. It looks even better now than when we played before. I think just exploring that world is super fun, and seeing stuff and like climbing up on a plant and getting a vantage point, because it's easy to get lost, but I think in a fun way and not a frustrating way, at least from what I've played so far. They're very clear about, hey, help us make the game better. So like when you get to a fairly critical part in kind of what I want to say, like in a snide way, what passes for a story. I don't mean it like that, but it's very bare bones right now. But you reach a critical part, and then it's basically all but says like, hey, the world is yours. Go build stuff, have fun, and help us make the game better. So it's definitely in a state where if there's something if you don't like waking up next to that package, if you and your friends write some emails, you could probably get rid of that if you're really adamant about it. Seems like they're very open to changing things. So
yeah,
it's gonna be interesting to follow it, I think, over a long period of time.
I downloaded it and I'm excited to dive in. Like it seems like something I could get excited and like addicted to. Like it seems like a really fun thing.
Well, so I think Cocaine. You want to check that out?
When's the release date on that one? Do you know?
It's in early access now.
Oh, I was asking about Cocaine, but
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. August 4th.
Oh, I see.
We don't need to belabor the point, but yeah, don't do drugs, kids. Yeah. But Jeff Cork,
yeah,
I know we covered this game a lot. It sounds like it's not crazy different from when we covered it. Is there like one story you would point people to on the site that's like, hey, if you want to know about Grounded, check this out?
Well, there's a lot of really good videos that Leo made. I think there's some fun like dispelling the myths of it, which is super silly. Yeah, I would check that out.
Maybe GameInformer.com/grounded. You could kind of check out our whole coverage hub.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
I also shared our playlist for Grounded on YouTube, on Twitter and Facebook. So if you follow us on those, go check that out. But yeah, it's all of Leo's awesome videos and Jeff's awesome videos that they did, and then our podcast discussion when we did the cover. So good stuff. Go check it out.
Jeff Cork, you been playing anything else?
Yeah, I finally beat Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
And man.
I love that game. I think it was so good and so much fun, and it's been a long time since I've been that invested in a world, and that's the first game that I actually platinumed too. I was like, got all the trophies. It's like,
wow.
Yeah, it was super fun.
There's one achievement or trophy, where you can dress up as Sly Cooper, which I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. That's a little Easter egg, and now I'm curious to hunt that down.
Yeah, it is. You really have to like squint and be easily suggestible to see Sly Cooper in there, but it's there, I suppose. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was super fun, and
I've been so head down on Super Hot that I haven't even really done anything in Ghost. So that's what I'm excited to do once I have Super Hot completely behind me.
Yeah, it
Cool.
was one of those games where like there's a lot of repetition in it, but for whatever reason, it didn't bother me at all. I just put a podcast in and head down and had fun.
I'm definitely at the point where I'm like, I'm kind of maxed out on everything that that I care about.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I can roll into a camp and kind of just decimate everybody without too much difficulty, which is nice. So I'm kind of ready for the game to be done, but I've enjoyed the whole ride.
Yeah.
We just posted a spoiler cast, spoiler episode, I guess, on YouTube. You can check that out. Cork, were you on that one?
No,
he was not.
Oh,
I was not.
He was busy. He was saving the world or doing something.
Yeah, who knows what I was doing.
Yeah, but that's I beat it recently too, and I echo everything Jeff said, and I'm excited to get the platinum. I had to skip a few things to get the spoiled out, but it's so easy to fall into. The photo mode has been fun. Haven't shared any of my creations, but I like to keep some things private.
That's like one of the few open world games too where I've rolled credits and have kept playing. I almost always will have like, well, I'll get these last 2 outposts once I beat the game, and as soon as the credits roll, that system is off and I'm just done. Like, no way.
I feel the same way.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
It's to the point where it's like, if I want 100% of the game, I will wait for the final boss. I'll be like,
absolutely.
I'm gonna have to do stuff first before I fight the boss.
Yeah.
And just magically I stop caring about this game.
But that's why Ghost is hitting me in a different way, because I'm with Jeff. I when I was done with it, I've finished my two of the 3 ally missions. I finished Ishikawa's and Lady Masako's, and I have to do Norio's still. But I can't wait to now that the main story is done, just to breathe in this space and not I really like the main story, so don't get me wrong, but just to kind of explore and do my own thing.
Sure. How far up your personal top 10s do you think this game is?
For the year?
For the year, yeah. Is it on there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's on my top 10. I don't know if it's like super high because, I just like games like Ori and Half-Life and Last of Us, I think are all better, or I enjoyed them more. I shouldn't say better, but I mean, Ghost is still a great game.
I would say it occupies my 5 to 7 range off knee-jerk reaction, which is always smart to go off of. But I think it's definitely in there.
Having not played anything of it aside from like the first hour, I could see it getting pretty high up on mine. But also, my top 10 is pretty flimsy and ready for the taken. So I think that it has a shot based on what I've seen and read and heard about this game. I think that it would be. It sounds like extremely my jam.
Just because you haven't played a ton of games you like?
No, I've played a ton of games. I mean, my top 3 is pretty solid, but like everything else is like so in flux. Like it wouldn't take a lot to knock Animal Crossing down a notch, I think. As much as I like that game. But like, yeah, it's like my top 3 is like Last of Us, Persona 5 Royal, and Final Fantasy 7. And that's fairly solid, but if I really love Ghost, it could top all those. I don't know.
Well, I was toying around with doing a segment where y'all talk about our like mid-year predictions for Game of the Year or just Game of the Year discussion overall, but now we don't have to.
Nope, never again.
No. Yeah, we might do that.
I just gave the definitive word.
Yeah. I think it'd be a fun segment. Great. Well, thanks, Cork. For me, I've been playing a couple other games. Hunt Down is one that came out, like earlier in May, I think. It's a game that Leo was actually talking about quite a bit. You guys remember this game? It's a side-scrolling action shooter type thing. It's very, 8-bit inspired art, sort of 80s noirish vibe.
We did the NGT for it.
Yeah. I was on that.
Yeah.
And it looked cool then, but I didn't start playing it until this week. I've been playing it with a friend, and it's fun. It's way better in co-op if you have the opportunity. Totally easy. Like, there's not really doing anything crazy special, but it's a really solid just run and gun game if you're looking for one of those. And I think it's like on everything, like PC and consoles and whatnot.
Switch. Yeah.
So check that out.
Yeah.
TI 83 Plus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it definitely gets pretty difficult towards the end, to the point where I was like, I think I've seen enough of this game. But the music was good. It was very tongue in cheek. There's one boss that I thought was a little in bad taste, but other than that, I'm with you, Ben. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to know. Maybe I haven't got that guy yet.
It's really insensitive.
Yeah, I'm just no.
It just wasn't that funny. It was the Anyways, we can talk about it.
We don't need to talk about it. That's fine.
Yeah.
The other game I've been playing that totally rules is a game called Creaks. Are you familiar with this?
Say again.
I like to call it Creaks.
Creaks.
It's from Amanita Design. I don't know how to pronounce their name, but you know the guys who did Machinarium or Botanicula. They do a bunch of stuff that's impossible to pronounce. They did a game called Pilgrims earlier this year, or might have been late last year. They basically do a bunch of point-and-click adventure games, but their games are always gorgeous. That's what I really liked with Machinarium. But this game, it's that same hand-drawn art style look, but it's kind of more of like a side-scrolling platformer type feel with a ton of puzzles. So I dig it. I like point-and-click adventure games, but I actually think I like this style of gameplay even more. I compared it a little bit to like Limbo and Inside. I tried to get Kyle to play it because I think it's really good and up his alley.
Well, those are the magic words for Kyle.
Yeah, the Gaming Ride Home podcast host, Kyle Hilliard, friend of the show.
Never heard.
But yeah, it's totally worth checking out. It's your guy, and you discover a hole in your wall one day, and you kind of go down the hole and then emerge into this giant cavern with this huge mansion inhabited by these bird people. And you're trying to solve a bunch of puzzles, and usually they involve light. So you run across these weird robot dog things, and they're scared of light. So if you can get to a light source, they won't attack you. Or if you can like hit them with light, they will turn into these like coffee tables. So it's a lot of can I manipulate these characters and then use them to maybe climb on stuff and then get to an area. So totally worth checking out if you're into that kind of thing.
You had me at turning birds into coffee tables.
That's right. It's your favorite thing, right?
Yeah, I love turning birds into coffee tables in my spare time. So why wouldn't I combine my other favorite hobby of video games?
Stone cold logic.
You got me, man.
I'm here for it.
And the perfect segue is Alex. What you've been playing?
Oh man, so I feel like the last couple of weeks we've talked a lot about Ghost. I beat Ghost. Paper Mario's been kind of my before bed game. Play a half an hour here, an hour there. Still holds up in that way. I'm really enjoying that. But with the hype around the Xbox Game Showcase, I decided it's time to get back into the franchises that I really enjoyed, and I wanted to pick one that I remember playing at my friend's house when I was a kid, or like renting from Blockbuster, but that was Psychonauts, and I haven't played that in a long time, and I don't think I ever beat it going back to it now. And I was genuinely surprised at how well that holds up for a game from 2004, I think. It definitely has some camera issues and some moments of, I definitely grabbed that ledge, but the platforming is relatively solid still, and I think the humor's been on point, and those characters are just so good. And it was a nice, especially because, as we've talked about, Ghost is very, focused on loss and is downtrodden in that way while also being very beautiful. But like Psychonauts was a nice like kind of counterpoint to that. It was nice playing in juxtaposition because it felt a little lighter and breezier, at least at the start. I know they get into some deeper psychological stuff later, but like it was kind of a nice counterpiece to that I've been really enjoying. So I'm looking forward to beating that. That
was spurred on by the announcement. What was it, last week?
Mm-hmm.
The demo they just showed off of Psychonauts 2. I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm excited for a lot of the future of Microsoft stuff. So I was like, I want to be refreshed and make sure that we can talk on them when the time comes. Unfortunately, Psychonauts 2 did get delayed till 2021, but everything I've seen from the second one looks really cool, and I'm excited for that. And in the same,
you gonna play the VR game?
I've been looking for more excuses to play VR. I know, like maybe 2 months ago, I was uploading a couple of like the podcast and a couple other things at the GI office, and I tried Superhot on VR, and I was like, I've really never played VR, not out of not wanting to, just not out of access to it, and I was like, oh, okay. Superhot is amazing. Like, this is really cool. I'm looking for more excuses to get into it. Did you like the VR game?
I liked it. I don't think I liked it as much as the base game or the original Psychonauts. The writing is so clever. it's a good excuse to dive into that world again. And if I don't know if you've never seen VR before, it's cool. It's cool. Hey, look around.
Yeah, for sure.
There's some decent puzzles, but there's also some BS in that game that I think they could have polished out.
Okay, but you would recommend playing it? Is it not super long?
It's not super long. It's maybe a couple hours, and it does set up Psychonauts 2 pretty well, from my understanding. So it's a really good prelude to that. So I mean, it remains to be seen how important it is, but it seems like it's a good setup for the sequel.
If nothing else, it was a fun way to check in on Raz and everybody to see what they've been up to.
See how everyone's doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you really dig that world, then yes, you should check it out.
Cool. I'm really
excited. VR, then
yeah, I'm really excited to keep getting through this, and yeah, that's really exciting. I'll have to check that out. And then in that same vein, I talked about it earlier, but I beat Halo Reach. Amazing. That game for so long for me was, I didn't love that game because I hated the multiplayer, but going back to that story, I think it's hard to argue that that's not the best Halo campaign. So, but then I jumped into Halo 1 after that. I'm doing them chronological just because
chronologically.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the way to do it yet. It still remains to be seen, but I've beaten them all a handful of times. So I was like, I might as well try it chronologically and see how it works. So there you go.
Well, that's it for playlist. We have another segment we're going to jump on into, a little bit of a surprise for you. But first, let's take a break for an ad.
Ad break!
Ad break!
Man, another ad read. What's happening, Ben Reeves?
We do ad reads now?
Apparently so. Who's the sponsor this week?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes, on PlayStation, the open world action experience from Sucker Punch. It follows Jin Sakai, a samurai in Tsushima who is fighting to take back his homeland from the Mongol invasion, and those guys like to play a little rough.
Fortunately, so does Jin. He does not messing around. Game has a really cool action element. You're switching between multiple stances, and trust me, I hate switching between stances in games, but it totally works here.
If this sounds appealing to you, you can pick it up wherever you buy games. I think Reiner said he has a trunk full of games that you can pick it up, but you can pick it up on digital, you can pick it up in retail, you go pick it up at GameStop if you want, and it's a great time, and it's only on PlayStation.
It is rated M for mature, so make sure your mommy says it's okay to play.
I did have to ask my mom.
Welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still your host, Ben Reeves. Alex Stadnick's still here. Brian Shea's still here. Jeff Quirk's still here. And hopefully you are still here.
Hope so. Hello.
Yeah. And we are kicking off a segment we like to call Game Informer's Ultimate Meaningless Character Rankings.
Wow.
Ta-da!
Da-da-da!
Rolls
We're
off the
creating
tongue.
an ultimate master list of video game characters to rank. And to do that, we each are bringing in our own set of 3 characters. I don't know what you guys have. You don't know what I have.
Nope.
And I want to keep it that way. And we're going to combine them all into one master list.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
So what's the overall, next week, what are we going to do? What's kind of the goal of this segment?
I do not want to promise that we'll do it every week, but I do want our readers or listeners to look right in with their own list of 3 characters, and we might add them to our list. So it's an opportunity for us to talk about cool characters. And then you get to find out which character is the best.
In 10 years, maybe.
Yeah. We'll see.
Cool.
So to kick it off, I'll start with one of my characters that I wrote up. And I said, don't pick your favorites. I don't want people arguing over their favorites. We'll get to that eventually. But my first character that I want to submit to the ultimate list is Gladys. You guys familiar with her?
I am.
Yeah, from Portal. What a great character, right? She's such a fun villain. I would argue maybe one of the best villains in video games. But she's a rogue AI computer program that just hates you and calls you fat and is hilarious. And then you partner up with her in the sequel, the Squeakquel.
Squeakquel.
Where you play as a mouse.
And you learn a little bit more about her, but yeah, she's still fun.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have thoughts on Gladys?
I almost brought her as one of mine, so I'm glad I didn't now.
I am too.
No,
but
it's fine if we have overlap.
I knew if Reeves was on this, Gladys would be in the picture eventually. So I was like, I'll leave that to him.
one of my favorite villains.
Easily.
For
I'm
sure.
with that. Yeah. I think that's
So
good.
GLaDOS enters our list as number 1.
I have a running list here.
She's the best
Definitively
and the
best
worst.
character in gaming right now.
That's it. We can put a period on it.
All right, that's a wrap, boys.
All right, we did it. We created a list.
There it is.
Community emails time.
Who wants to go next? Alex?
Sure. There's a lot of hullabaloo about a certain Italian plumber, saved gaming, all that kind of stuff. But gentlemen, may I posit that he would be nowhere without the support and love and affection of his dear brother, Luigi. Luigi needs to be on this list. Dare I say, he's better than Mario. He's taller. He's more debonair. He's goofy. He's going to make you laugh. I love Luigi. I think it should always be the year Luigi. I don't think it ever ended. I did love Luigi's Mansion 3, and I think he's one of my favorite characters. So I know I broke the rules on that, but yeah, I think Luigi should be on this list.
You want to add Luigi to this list before Mario?
I'm
Old move, man.
Yeah, I'm a trendsetter. What can I say? I got the scared.
You were a player too growing up, weren't you?
I was. I got the scared king right here. Right there. Look at him. He's so scared.
Is that the Club Nintendo thing that they did several years ago?
It's like the first 4 statue.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Awesome.
So I bought him. Yes. We can talk
That's
about
awesome.
that
Yeah,
later
Luigi's
too.
great.
Yeah.
Luigi's so fun. Like, I love that he's so lanky and awkward
Mhm.
in all the games. Even like back in the like starting in Super Mario Brothers 2, you could kind of tell that he had a weird personality
Yeah.
because of his weirdo jump.
Mhm.
And I love that he is just scared of everything. Like his own shadow, cats, like anything that he turns a corner and sees something like that he did not expect, and he just is terrified.
So naturally, they put him in a series about hunting ghosts.
It's a
Which is
perfect
It's a
amazing.
perfect combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's so good. So that's my first entry.
I would propose that he goes on the list as number 2.
I wouldn't fight that. He doesn't have the
Cachet of GLaDOS.
I was gonna say he's not nearly as witty as GLaDOS, but I guess I would argue he's more iconic. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Certainly
He's
more
probably
playable.
Definitely more playable.
He's more playable. I don't know, does playability matter in this
Absolutely.
ranking?
Oh,
Yep,
interesting.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, that throws a new wrinkle into this.
I will. How so, Jeff Quirk?
Otherwise, you could just say like, I really like the turf from like Madden 2002. I think it looked really nice. End zones were fully realized.
I told
Well, it's
you.
not a character though.
I would say it's as much of a character as a character you don't play. I don't know what I'm saying. I just want to be provocative. Okay, let me have this. No.
Okay.
Right.
I'm
I think
still
playability
Anybody
is
else?
important for sure.
So okay.
I'm not going to say it's not important.
Right.
But I don't think it's enough for me push him over into number 1.
I say GLaDOS 1, Luigi 2.
Jeff.
That's my vote.
Okay.
Hey, we did it, everybody.
We did it.
Luigi, the worst character in gaming, according to our list.
Yep. Oh wait, no, that was Waluigi. Continue.
Oh,
Never mind.
Alex,
I know.
Oh, get him out of here, big gamer.
Shay.
Brian Shea, what do you got for us?
So one of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy X. A lot of people will give Tidus, the main character, a lot of crap. So I'm going to propose that we add the cool guy, Auron, to the list. That's all.
See what you did there. He's the guy who has his hand in a sleeve the whole game.
Yeah, and he has like the red like bathrobe looking thing that like he looks cool in the game, but if there was ever a guy dressed like that, I wouldn't want to hang out with him because he seems like a total loser. But like in the game, it works.
He's got little sunglasses, right?
Yeah. That's how you know he's cool.
Yeah. Doesn't he have like little tiny ones?
Yeah. Exactly. Again, that's how you know he's cool.
Did you think his arm was broken the whole time when you were playing that game?
No, he was just like just kind of in chill mode. And then like, he when he gets into battle, he takes his arm out of the sleeve, like when he gets real serious.
Like a holster.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I only knew him from Kingdom Hearts, his appearance in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh,
I definitely
that'll
thought,
bring it
Alex,
down.
that's twice.
Yeah.
That's 2 now.
Or is that was that skillful manipulation of the list?
Fine, put him in 3.
I like Auron. He's probably definitely one of the best characters in that game.
He's 3 for sure.
Top 3 in that game for sure. top 3 on our list.
I mean, I was gonna say, yeah, some could say,
but yeah, I don't know. Does anybody want to argue that he's better than Luigi?
I like him more than Luigi, but it's all good. I don't care.
Anybody else?
No, I think Luigi's definitely a better character.
All right. Yeah, I mean, he's cool. He's definitely like one of the guys that I stuck with throughout that game. He was like one of my mains, if you can call it that. He was definitely on my party the most, but
cool.
But yeah, top 3 characters in gaming for sure.
Right
Jeff
there.
Cork.
Yes, sir. All right, for my selections, I've got a little bit of a pattern, but I'm going to see if you guys can crack my code. First one, Chun-Li.
Oh,
Street Fighter 2.
is it females in gaming?
No.
Ah, dang it.
How dare you? Oh. No, I love Chun-Li. You were just talking about your mains in games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love Chun-Li. She's was my main for a very long time. My go-to character. She has like the lightning kick, and then the one where she goes upside down and kicks people in the face, and then she eventually learned how to throw a very puny fireball, which was no good. But just an amazing character.
She
love her.
is one of the best Street Fighter characters, I would argue.
Absolutely. So she could do like the jump on the side of the screen.
Yeah.
Mid-air throw is super great. Yeah. Just
And she has a real good yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's really cool because she looks cool. Well, that's not the only reason. I shouldn't say that. It's not all about looks.
Yeah.
But she does have a really cool design. And then she's also, like as you said, sort of easy to use initially. So when I was a kid playing Street Fighter, I was like, oh, I gravitate towards this person who, if I just mash this button, I just do a million kicks and it destroys people. Like, that's awesome.
Infiltrated Shadow Lu with her camera to expose whatever that Shadow Lu is. They were bad, right?
We think
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah. M. Bison.
Yeah.
Plus, here's the other cool thing. Like, back when Street Fighter 2 came out,
Mhm.
there weren't a ton of female characters in games.
Right.
You can maybe argue that still today, but even less. And it was cool to see this female on this roster full of dudes. And this is a fighting game, right? And she's like, this woman can go toe to toe with all these other guys. Like, that was cool.
it's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
She's great.
I would put her 1 out of this list.
What?
I
Number
think-
1.
I think I like iconic design, like you said, like, you know, how many characters do we celebrate specifically from those days? She's blazed a trail for 30 years.
Yeah.
Something like
To
that.
this day, Capcom still likes to pretend when they're revealing a new Street Fighter roster, like, drum roll please, we've got Chun-Li. Like, they say that as a way to get people excited.
I can easily go above Orin. And I can even say, like, above Luigi, I could give it. But man, above Gladys, really?
Absolutely.
I think history. I think she's more important in games history than Gladys is, as much as I may enjoy Gladys as a more wittier character. You know what I mean? Like a more story-driven character. No.
If we're talking about like the character's like iconic nature and the history behind the character, then yeah, she's number 1. But then Luigi would definitely be number 2. But if we're talking about them as like a character, like their personality, what they contribute to a story, then I think Gladys easily wins. So it like depends on what we're ranking these by. If we're ranking them alphabetically, then Orange should be first.
Yeah, do you guys want to just do this alphabetically?
Yeah, let's do that.
That'll be a lot easier.
This would be so much easier.
Yeah,
That's the best way.
best characters of all time.
That's a good point.
Ranked alphabetically.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
All right, are we a house divided?
I think we
Shay,
are.
are you sticking with number 2?
I mean,
What's your
I think
gut
number
tell
2.
you?
Number 2 because of like her, like you said, she's iconic. But like if we're going by that, then yeah, we should just put Mario at number 1 right now.
And I
don't think we're
want to
doing
do that. So that's a good point.
That's what I'm saying. That's like if you're talking like about the character, I think you have to take all factors, and one of the most important factors is their personality and how they contribute to the story and everything surrounding that character.
Which is literally all GLaDOS is just a personality. She doesn't have any real presence in the game except for when you dismantle her at the end. I don't know. She's fine. She's funny. She has a cool song at the end of the credits and everything like that. But like, I never thought of her as a character as much as just a voice you would hear while you're playing. You know?
And Chun-Li does have a song.
Man. She's in Potato at one point. Remember that?
Yeah.
That's a good point. Should we?
All right. Well, what were you going to propose?
I was going to say,
Alex?
should we let community decide? Like, if should we do votes? Is that too complicated, or do we want to settle it right here right now? Okay.
I mean, why don't we wait till the end before we say we need a vote, because we still all have 2 more characters to go through.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to put her on the list with Gladys as number 1, and then we'll come back to. We'll see if somebody helps split this game.
We'll meditate on it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
There we go.
So I'm going to introduce my second character. Is Ganon. Legend of Zelda. Big Bad. And
the
now
first
that I think about it, I almost had a theme of villains going on, but I'm not with my third character. But what's that?
You're talking about specifically from the first one, or just the spectrum?
I think we should just do it as like, these are characters from the franchises, not specifically from a specific game. Although I know it does get a little bit fuzzy with Zelda because those are sort of reincarnations. But if I had to pick one, I would do the one from Ocarina of Time. That's the one where I was like, oh, this film looks cool. Like when he just comes riding out from the castle on that horse for the first time, and there's that storm going on, and you see him, you're like, man, he looks so cool. I think he's got a really cool design up there with Chun-Li, right? And he's got magic powers. He's a cool villain, and then he can turn into a giant pig monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're including Ganondorf in the Ganon umbrella.
I think so. Like, I think transformations should count as like one character.
Okay.
Like if you transform into something else, you're still that person, right?
Yeah, like when Auron takes his arm out, he's still
He's Auron with 2 arms.
Right.
2-arm Auron.
Yeah. Love it.
I think he's good. I'd put him up there with Luigi. Maybe
I'd put him above Luigi. Above Luigi for me.
They're so different, you know? One's a happy-go-lucky, scamp, and the other is Luigi. You know, these are hard decisions to make. I guess I'd be fine with that. I could sleep knowing that. But like just one over Luigi. I don't think it's
it's not a challenge GLaDOS or Chun-Li situation.
I think he's I would agree with him being at 3 or 4 depending on what we do with the
fun fact. I went to school with a girl whose last name was Ganon.
Really?
Yeah.
And then you married her?
No, because my last name would be Ganon because I totally would have taken that name.
Brian Ganon?
Yeah. How bad would that be?
Sounds still pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, you blew your chance, Shay.
I know.
Do you think you could have like some kind of like maybe you could reconnect now?
Yeah.
It's been years.
I mean, seeing as how I don't think I ever spoke to her once, I think it would be hard to reconnect. Maybe I could connect for the first time, but
that's a fresh start right there.
Yeah, fresh start. Hey, you don't remember me, but I remember you because of your name.
Yeah. Miss Ganon, we know you're listening. We know you've been watching from afar. Let's spark that love connection.
Please.
Please.
That'd be so good.
So with that, right. I guess I'll give my next one, or was it Alex?
Well, unless Jeff Cork, you're going to say anything. Otherwise, Ganon's going in at number 3.
That's fine.
All right, great. That's what I love to hear. Alex?
This may be... No, I'm not even going to preface with that. I think Ellie from The Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2 is one of the best voice acted, most thoughtfully created characters in recent years. And I think she unequivocally deserves a spot on this list. I love the story that they told in Last of Us 2, not necessarily her by the end of it, but I just think she's been such a treat, and especially in that first game, she is the breath of fresh air that you needed in such a dire, awful future. And Ashley Johnson does an absolutely amazing job bringing her to life, which is, I know it's cliche, but she is such a living character in a lot of people's minds.
And I think we'll try to stay away from spoilers in this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be tricky, I think, with Ellie. I think before playing Last of Us 2, I'd been like, number 1. I think she's great for all the reasons you said. I really liked her through Last of Us 2 as well. I think as a character, super interesting. The way she doggedly sticks to her revenge tale is interesting. and makes it kind of hard for it's like makes it hard for me to like her as much as I used to.
Yes.
But also like there's an argument of like that makes her a more interesting character.
I would say so too. It's hard to talk about this without getting into spoilers, but there's things that she does in the second one that I think a lot of people are in that camp where they're like, she's not the Ellie I like or know anymore. But I think there's things in that game that show that she is still that person that I really liked. So I think she is top tier, no question.
She does kill dogs.
I don't like that. I don't like that
either.
Yeah.
You guys have thoughts?
I think it's interesting that that's a bad thing, but in Ghost of Tsushima, I relished every opportunity to kill a dog.
I hated those dogs.
It's like the best thing. It's very interesting how like back to back, for some reason, how dare you kill a dog? And then it was just like, I want to do it in slow motion if possible, so I can enjoy it even more somehow. But
can I get closer to it before I kill it?
Exactly. Get in camera mode. Let's just really zoom in here.
Oh God!
You're gonna get got.
They just don't seem super defined. They're like sort of fur blobs. You can't even really tell they're dogs. Like they were bigger. Yeah, you'd think they were bears or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which describes the perfect dog in my world. But
all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is the bear from Ghost of Tsushima number one?
Yeah.
Is that where we're going?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
All right, where would you guys rank Ellie?
I say above Ganon, below Gladys / Chun-Li.
Okay.
This shows just the futility / stupidity of this exercise. Also, it's just like, let's have like a cartoon compared to like a mature performance and a prestige drama, and say like, which one's better? It's like, what are you talking about?
What's better, Carmela Soprano or Bugs Bunny?
Yeah, exactly. Like
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
I don't.
Man, I agree with your sentiment, Quirk, but that's why this is called the meaningless list of GI character rankings.
All right.
I could be talked into 3, but man, even though I said what I said, my gut's kind of telling me number 1.
Whoa.
I wouldn't fight you. Maybe it's recency bias, but I wouldn't fight you on that one. I think she is such an in-depth character that I think she trumps a lot of things that we've talked about on this list so far.
The thing is, it's like impossible for a lot of games to compete because you're just like, Luigi is never meant to be anything more than just like this fun little avatar for players. You know, he's not telling a story, really.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's true.
This list, I guarantee the top 10 is just going to be a bunch of bummer buzzkill characters. So
no, Chun-Li, she's great. Gladys is great.
Yeah. Well, they're going to slowly get inched out by a bunch of like sad sacks. Absolutely. Deacon St. John's going to be number 2.
Don't reveal your character.
I was going to say, did you just tip your hat there?
No, I don't.
Okay.
But my biker cap.
Yeah. So is Ellie 1?
I think so, actually, now that you...
Yeah, why not?
All right.
Numero
we did it.
Uno, right there, baby.
Brian Shea.
Bo Jackson.
Oh my God.
Bo Jackson?
I apologize.
From Tecmo Bowl.
Oh, the athlete.
Yeah. Bo Jackson
Bo.
from Tecmo Bowl. The player that was so broken that in subsequent releases of the game, they did not put him in it.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Was there some controversy with him?
I don't know. He just he was impossible to tackle because he could move and turn so fast that it was just impossible to do anything with him.
Yeah, he played like 3 different sports or something, right?
Yeah, he was a multi-sport athlete.
Would they do that today? Was it just like you had more free time if you were an athlete back then?
I don't know.
The agents wouldn't let you. Like, if you got hurt playing NFL, like in the NFL, you couldn't play baseball. I feel like that just wouldn't.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes was drafted. The last Super Bowl MVP was drafted in baseball, I believe, and I think he actually went to like spring training one year, but he didn't play. I mean, Michael Jordan's the last high-profile athlete to do a multiple sport thing, but he retired from basketball in order to do it briefly.
I would say Deion Sanders is the GOAT of multi-sport professional athletes, but we're getting into the weeds on something here. Where does he rank?
Yeah, so I actually have some weird affection for him just because I remember that. What was that cartoon that he was on? All Stars or something. He was on a cartoon with Michael
Probably
Jordan.
Scooby-Doo or something.
Yeah, it was Scooby-Doo. All Stars. But I think we shouldn't let our impressions of characters outside of gaming count. Like if we have Optimus Prime ranked on this list, it should just be Optimus Prime based on his video game appearances.
Based on like War for Cybertron.
Well, that's good because I almost put Detective Pikachu and I haven't played that game at all.
Could we restrict this list to characters that exist in games first and foremost? If they've got, because like you could say Batman, but then because he's been in some great games, but I don't think of that character as like a video game character primarily. So Bo Jackson existed in a human form, right?
So we've been told.
I'm assuming
legend has it.
Canonical explanation for him.
So do the Sakurai rules for Smash Bros. You can only be in Smash if you were created in a game first. I like that.
Fine. Toad.
Toad.
You know, are we changing characters now? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, because I was overruled.
Okay. So Toad from the game.
Jackson.
Toad Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, wait. So if we get Batman later, we're not going to put Batman on this list? Is that what we're deciding?
No way, dude.
If we want to keep it to the just game characters list.
Keep it clean.
All right.
Wow.
That's our scientific principle.
Them be the rules.
All right, Jeff Cork, what do you think?
About Toad?
No, what's your next character?
Oh, wait, are we not ranking Toad?
Wait, what? Is this your third character? Or you putting in a sub character?
No, Bo Jackson was canceled.
Who is Toad Jackson?
Oh no.
We're going off the rails, folks.
The wheels have fallen off completely.
Toad from Super Mario.
Oh, good grief. Okay, at the bottom of the list. He's a nothing character. Does anybody have affection for Toad?
No, but he can join my other pick at the bottom.
Okay. Toad's good.
I didn't know Toad's last name was Jackson, though. You taught me something.
There you go. All right, we got it. Jeff.
End of the list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Jeff Cork.
Yes, sir.
What's
my next character?
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be Chuck Green from Dead Rising 2. Oh. He's a doting, loving father, a stuntman who puts his own life on the line to be in Terror's reality game show so he could win some Zombrex to keep his daughter Katie alive. He's a great improviser. He's able to craft weapons and combine them, puts chainsaws on his motorcycle. He's an amazing guy.
If he were a guy in real life, he'd be like, this is the coolest guy I know.
Unquestionably, yeah.
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 I like Chuck Green. Do you like him better than Frank?
I think I do. I think he's like more of a personality. I think Frank West is like fun and kind of jack and very dogged in his pursuit of the truth. But I think Chuck Green just seemed like more of a person. I mean, we're not quite up to like Ellie from The Last of Us standards of like a fully realized human being, but he's like fun, which I like to have fun.
Yeah, I like to have fun too.
I like to have fun.
We got a lot in common.
Exactly.
Where would you put him on this list, Jeff Cork?
I would put him right in the middle where he's like a nail that doesn't stick up too far. He's just, his presence is all I need.
I say after Luigi, maybe even after Auron personally. Luigi's like the gatekeeper of the list.
Yeah, I would put him below Luigi personally.
I love it. I think that's great.
Chuck Green, currently number 6.
What's the list so far? Can we remind the viewers, listeners?
Yeah, sure. So we have Ellie as number 1. Gladys, Chun-Li are tied for number 2. We'll figure that out in a bit. Ganon is number 3, essentially. Oh, I misquoted. Well, Ganon will be number 4. We'll just go with that. Luigi's 5. Chuck Green is 6. Auron is 7. And then coming in at the end is Toad Jackson.
Dr. Toad Jackson.
Dr. Toad Jackson.
Yeah.
Cool. You know what? If his name was Dr. Toad Jackson, he would move up this list.
I agree.
All All right, so my next character, I want to introduce you to a guy, a little furry guy I like to call Fox McCloud. Game called Star Fox blew my mind as a kid. And I was like, what's this Star Wars looking game? And who is this fox, the anthropomorphic fox with robot feet? Like, I want to know more. And I feel like over the years, I've not really gotten the more I want. But I don't know. I have some affection for the character. I think he's definitely better than Toad.
Yeah, he's kind of Nintendo's cool guy, isn't he? No?
That's Toad Jackson.
That's
Yeah,
Toad
I guess.
Jackson. Yeah.
Probably maybe Falcon or Falco, yeah. The Punch-Out guy.
Little Mac.
I don't know.
Little Mac.
Anybody have any objection to putting him at number 8, right above Toad? I'm not gonna fight for him super hard, but
No, I think that's good.
I like that. Yeah, I think that feels right for him.
perfect.
Yay.
Alex, your last character, what is it?
So you guys will have to tell me if this works or not, but I had the Big Daddy from BioShock as but he's not necessarily a singular character. So does that count? Can we use him?
Yes, that counts
okay.
because Toad is not a singular character either.
True. Then definitely Big Daddy.
Canon.
Yeah. Design wise, I think he's one of the most iconic and distinct villains in games, and I don't think as much as the environmental storytelling was so strong in that first BioShock game, I don't think it gets to the levels of acclaim that it does without that Big Daddy. And maybe it's because I'm just a big little boy who gets scared of things easier than others, but like the first time I put BioShock in, I was terrified of anytime I heard the like I would just he's so cool. They are so cool and just a hulking presence in my dreams. Yeah. This is really emotional for me, ranking these characters here. So
I liked your whale noise, Big Daddy sound.
Yeah. Yeah. As I was doing it, I was like, oh, this is a whale. That's good. This is the same thing, really. Yeah. I guess I think I would put him in top tier of villains, but I guess in this list, I don't know where he or they slot. So I'm open to feedback on that. I think slot's higher than Toad for sure.
Design wise, he's up there. He's like number 1, right? One of the coolest looking characters in games. Yeah. Personality wise, hang out with Toad probably. Cool. Yeah. So it's like, what's the balance there in terms of character? He's definitely an intimidating foe when you're playing those games.
Yeah. And you did get to play as him, so that covered in 2. You were the first Big Daddy, so that covers the playability level. But yeah, they're just a really good villain, and I don't know. I think I'd maybe put him right around the Chuck Green Luigi spot. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I was thinking the Chuck Green Orin spot.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So right below Chuck Green.
Man,
I don't know. I think I like him better than Chuck Green.
Orin's not getting his dues.
Got to pull that arm out of his sleeve, man.
He does.
Yeah,
he does. It's awesome.
Would you?
I guess put him above Chuck Green.
Jeff, that's your boy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I'll live.
So below Luigi.
Yeah, so he's coming in at number 6. Right below Luigi, right above Chuck Green.
Would we put him above Luigi? I don't know. Maybe I'm just splitting hairs.
There, man.
I know. I'm sorry, bud, but he's just so good. We'll put him below Luigi. It's fine. We'll keep it going. Keep it rolling here.
All right.
I say above Luigi now that you mention it. You know what? Just keep climbing. Keep him climbing. Above Luigi.
All right. Above Luigi. That's where he stays.
Ganon, right?
No,
not above Ganon.
That's where he stays.
No.
Cool. We got 2 more characters to add, right? Brian Shea.
Yeah, I guess. I've tried to go with like the cool characters between like Orin and
Bo Jackson. You really.
And I beat you to it with Fox.
Bo Jackson. Yeah, and then you beat me with it. So I'm gonna do a character that is inarguably cool, the epitome of cool, you could say. Funky Kong.
Funky Kong.
Yeah,
I love it.
I mean, just think about like every time you visited him in Donkey Kong Country, he's just the coolest dude. He has that theme that plays every time that goes, yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You can hear it in your head right now. I mean, he's got to be a character, right?
Technically a character.
I think he technically counts. Yeah. I got nothing for Funky Kong. I like those Donkey Kong Country games Like Donkey Kong, legit cool. Like I think he'll do well if he gets on this list. But Funky Kong,
I said,
he's like
only going
Diddy
for cool
Kong.
characters.
I like that you're thinking out of the box for this.
Yeah, no, it was good. I don't know. Yeah. Anybody else like Funky Kong?
I think I like Toe Jackson better personally, but I still appreciate the creativity of it.
You want to put him below Toad?
Kinda. Do you guys like him better than Toad?
No.
Brian, I think he goes at number 11 too.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Great. All right, Jeff Cord.
Jeff Cord, my final entry. We'll just put him right at number 12. It's Chibi Robo.
I knew it. Yes.
There it is.
I was waiting. You gave the people what they wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Not number one.
Oh, he's number one in my heart, but this list is broken. We can all
What is
admit
the
that.
theme of your list? It's just characters you love?
No, Chuck Green, Chun-Li, Chibi Robo. Figured out.
Characters in video games.
Smart.
All begins with C.
CH. I'm the Riddler over here, which would not be eligible for this list.
You're not in this list.
Nope.
No,
Right.
absolutely
Nope.
not. No, Chibi Robo's super fun. He's like a good workman-like design for a robot. He's not just a guy in a diving suit. Let's be honest. That's all that Big Daddy is, right? He's a cool robot. He's got a little cord that he can use, like to zip line up things, and it's adorable.
Visual aid for the viewers
right there.
Actually, if you'll indulge me, can I go off camera for like give me 15 seconds? I'll come back with something really awesome.
Yeah.
Is he gonna go get his like 12-inch
life-size
Chibi Robo?
No, just a sec. Former GI intern Derek made a custom based on the amiibo blown glass Chibi Robo.
What?
Whoa!
Amiibo, which it's amazing, and it's also apparently it's got some radioactive stuff in there. So when you turn off the lights, it glows a little bit.
Oh,
But-
what?
Oh, that's cool.
It's absolutely incredible.
That's so cool.
Did you ask him to do that?
He said that he wanted to make me something like blown glass, and then I was like, "You make an amiibo?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You make a Chibi Robo amiibo one?" Yeah. So he did it. It's amazing.
Did he have
That's
to destroy a Chibi Robo to do that? Did he have to like? dip it
He
in
may
acid
have.
or-
Yeah, but a wonderful overblooder sent me apparently Chibi Robo figures. There were they made more of them than people wanted to buy. Okay, so I have like several dozen of them at home.
I remember
So I
when that box
sacrificed-
arrived.
Yeah.
That's a
so much.
Jeff Cork, where
Yes,
would
sir.
you rank him? Are you're not going to put him at the very end of the list, are you?
Oh, I would put him up high. I think he's like I put him in the middle, honestly, like 5 or 6. But yeah, I
don't think we can let you do that, Cork. I think he's got to go as number 1.
Yeah,
we discussed it
true.
while you were gone.
yeah. Chibi Robo number 1. It's a tough decision, but I understand it.
In your heart.
Yeah.
Sorry to disappoint you. So wait, you mean number 5, like above Big Daddy?
Just because most people hadn't seen a diving bell helmet before, like a diving suit. Like he's got a drill for an arm, which I suppose is an interesting twist on it, but I don't know, it's fine. It's fine.
That would also put him above Luigi.
Yeah. Let's not be ridiculous. I mean, for it. Yeah, and Nintendo tried and failed to do something different with Chibi Robo. They just don't know what's considered, right?
If you want to put him above Chuck Green, that's fine with me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe, but if I'm making this list, no.
That seems
Oh.
weird to me.
Yeah.
So below Luigi, above Chuck Green.
Let's do it.
I like that. That feels right.
Sure. Chun-Li.
Anybody feel differently about this after thinking about it?
Yeah, I think Chun-Li.
I still
Yeah.
think Chun-Li.
I say Chun-Li. Let's do it. Go for it.
All right. In my heart, I still want GLaDOS to be above.
GLaDOS
it,
is funny, and she said the cake is a lie and all that stuff, but
We were there. We experienced it.
Yeah.
but- all right.
Always have those memories.
yeah,
We did it, guys.
we did it.
This is our highly scientific list, right?
Mhm.
Ready? It's
Yeah.
not just based on opinion.
Yeah.
So Ellie, number 1 video game character of all time. Ellie from The Last of Us. Number 2, Chun-Li. Number 3, GLaDOS. Number 4, and the first male to enter the list, which is kind of crazy, Ganon.
GLaDOS is neither male nor female, right?
Well,
freaking robot.
Yeah, but you would still make Ganon the first male. But yeah, you're right. GLaDOS definitely has a female voice actress.
Yeah. Wait. Reeves has a very good point there. Since GLaDOS is neither male nor female because it's a robot, that still makes Ganon the first male character.
I've never seen him without his pants on. That's all I'm saying.
No, number 6 is Luigi. Number 7 is Chibi Robo. Number
Luigi's
8,
the second daddy.
Yep.
Number 8, Chuck Green,
mm-hmm.
the best daddy. Number 9, Orin. Mm-hmm. Number 10, Fox McCloud. Number 11, Toad Jackson, and number 12, Funky Kong.
Yep.
That's it, guys.
That's it.
That's the perfect list.
Wait. Were my picks all the bottom 3? The bottom 4.
Yeah.
A badge I'll wear proudly.
Yeah.
If you want to submit a list of characters to add to this list, you can submit 3. And remember, it has to be a character that was from video games only, or like started in video games. Send it to podcast@gameoformer.com, and we will take a look at that. You might get on here.
Debuted in video games.
What game was Kurt Cobain in?
Guitar Hero World Tour. Or Guitar Hero 5. Look it up on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Very disrespectful.
And so you scrambled to find another.
I have over here next to my desk, and none of them appealed.
All right.
Damn
And
it.
we will return soon with community emails. But first, we're going to take another ad break.
Oh, I love ad breaks.
You want it. You asked for it. Here we go.
We'd like to remind you again that this week's episode story a little bit earlier, but I think one of the things that I love is the open world. Ben, how about you?
Oh, yeah.
That lets you capture some of the most cinematic shots I've seen in any games, which is amazing. And if this sounds good to you, you can pick it up on digital, you can pick it up physical at retail or at GameStop.
Great. Welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still your host, Ben Reeves. Still got the same crew with me. We're going to do some community thoughts on the industry, their crazy dreams they have, wild games, which is probably our favorite thing, games, which don't have any games this week, which is kind of sad. But if you have a fun game for us to play, like push the button or whatever, send it to podcast@gameoformer.com. So our first email comes in from somebody named Alex. Sounds like a cool guy, right, Alex? That's your name.
That is my name. Yeah. We tend to be on the cooler side.
Alex says, "Hey, Game Informer crew. Is it an oversimplification to say that apparently next-gen graphics and more teraflops means everything gets more cartoony with 4K 60 frames per second sheen? I was really excited for the new Halo, but after seeing that new game, it has very different next-gen graphics and more teraflops makes things look more cartoony. It's kind of interesting." Halo?
Yeah, I think that Halo Infinite seems like it's going back to the art style, and very intentionally so, going back to an art style that harkens back to Halo Combat Evolved. Like we saw that with the world that you go out and like you step out onto the ring for the first time, and talking to the team, that's what they said they were going for. They wanted to evoke the same feeling that you had, where it's like, oh wow, the possibilities on this big open area are endless, and it really felt that way back when you played Combat Evolved for the first time, and it seems like they're going for that same thing. But as far as like the character designs, I think they're just really trying to make it look like how your brain remembers Combat Evolved.
For sure. And we've seen, they showed off, I believe it was an engine, but obviously not gameplay slices yet, but they showed off Hellblade 2, and an art style in a specific game. I don't think you should be worried about the power of the system based off an art style that, that didn't gel with you. I don't think that's a fair representation.
A lot of people were hating on the way Halo looked, though, which is kind of sad. And I didn't think it looked
visually mind-blowing or anything like that. Like, I'm not like, wow, that's like a next-gen looking game. But it was like, so I'm,
right.
I don't know, the concepts that they're going for, like having like a big open for.
And I would much rather have, if there was some point where obviously 4 and 5 were very good-looking games, but they're some of the weakest in the series. So it's like,
they read in, says, "Hey gang, longtime listener and reader, and first time writing in. I just wanted to write in and say that you guys have been doing a great job. My question is, who write bonus? Have you ever given a game a 1 out of 10? Kind of 2 questions there, but yeah, he's talking about in the magazine, right before our review section, we have a ranking of our, what do we call that? Our score ranking, and it kind of details like what each number means.
Yeah. Yep. And then one being the
1 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. that rotates every month.
Yes.
We used to do a thing. We used to have like a larger brain trust where we would, shoot the bull in the bullpen, let's say, and try to come up with collective effort, let's say. I think recently it's just been you, me, and Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Do you also remember Corn on the Crab for some reason?
Yeah, I remember that one. Like that sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
It was like way back when I first started. Right when super funny, guys. If you read us in the magazine, super funny.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever
not applicable?
Mm-hmm.
So like, did you guys have to talk and like have a meeting about that? Like giving a 1? I feel like you have to talk like it's like giving a 10, but on the opposite side of the spectrum. Like,
I gave a 2 to Fear Effect. It almost broken, completely unplayable. But that's as far as it gets. It's not like a huge meeting. I know, Reiner, I think you gave a 0.5 once, I want to say.
Yeah, that's insane. A 0.5.
I'm trying to find like the list of the ones that we've given. I'm failing miserably.
If you find it, let us know. But
no, I'm giving up. I'm calling off the search.
Okay, so
I give that search a 1 out of 10. He writes in, he says, "Greetings from Kansas City." He says, "With my recent Xbox presentation," oh my gosh.
It's getting to that point. It's okay.
Getting to that point. He says, "With the recent Xbox presentation and the unveiling of several new games for the Series X, it got me thinking just how appealing Game Pass really is. It's been universally praised and it just keeps getting better." And he goes on to detail how much it is for a year, which it is just, we'll say, a really good deal. And there's a ton of games on it. Then he goes on to say, "With many people facing economic hardship right now, I think this type of value could be even more relevant. So my question is this the silver bullet Microsoft needs for next gen? And can Microsoft win over Sony, even if they aren't winning in the traditional sense of hardware sales?" So that's an interesting point. Is like, do you think they can win the next generation based on the fact that they're selling more Game Pass subscriptions than Sony is selling hardware? Does that make sense?
Well, then they would have to sell more consoles unless they're using xCloud
and PC.
No, yeah, not necessarily.
No,
xCloud,
PC's only in beta.
You could play on your old Xbox One. There's a lot of
for a little bit,
to play. Well, but this is what he's saying. He's saying Xbox's Game Pass is such a good deal that he thinks that could be their, killer app, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean that's definitely a reason, like a really good reason to have an Xbox console. I mean, it's definitely the best value I've ever seen in gaming. Like, it's crazy. Like, I signed up when they were doing some big promotion. Like, I'm set through like summer 2021, and it's amazing that like, day one I'll have all of the Xbox Game Studios games. I have Gears 5 from day one at no additional charge, and it's just a really great deal.
Yeah, I think.
Do you get to keep that stuff when your subscription lapses? If you're like halfway through a game and your subscription lapses, you're just like cut off.
Yeah, it just, if your subscription lapses, it's over. Party's over.
Games go on and off Game Pass also, right? So it's not like it's a library that's only being added to over time. Like some stuff, they give you a heads up, like these are the games that are leaving Game Pass, but it is a library, like I said, that just kind of grows and shrinks.
Yeah, it's like people always call it like the Netflix of video games, and I think that's, aside from the fact that you download the games, it's a pretty apt comparison in that games are always coming and going, and like sometimes it's a new game, sometimes it's old games. So
yeah, former GI news editor Imran Khan, I saw him tweeting about this, and he said like this is an insane deal, and it's exactly what Microsoft wants. They've been going after other people's content to build this awesome library of games. And he talks a little bit about the trouble they could get into down the road, but like for the short term, it's definitely like a good deal for them as well as you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but we'll see how it plays out in the long term. Like in the long term, it's going to be an interesting show to see if they can keep that coming.
As long as the games are there, I think this is a whole new ball game for Microsoft, and especially combining that with hopefully high quality stuff from their first party studios. Like, I don't know. This is not a Dan Predicts, but I think there's a world out there where Microsoft is like totally content with Game Pass, making their Xbox first party titles, and not necessarily worried about console sales. Or like, I don't know if we get a next Xbox after this, if that's so profitable for them.
Yeah, exactly. I think part of the problem I could see down the road is it's definitely valuable for them if it's a service for games as service, like bringing stuff like Destiny over makes sense, stuff that can continue to make money. The tricky thing is like how much money does Microsoft want to spend on a bunch of games that are just short single player experiences? Like would they bring something like a Last of Us over to that service, something that they would have to pay a bunch of money for and it's a one and done experience? I don't know. That's the question mark I have.
Yeah. But
so far they have.
Yeah, definitely. But if they can handle that, if they could give you the Halo Infinites along with the whatever the initiative is working on, and just keep upping that value, you get rid of the overhead of production, which would be pretty huge for them. And as much as we are honed in on our bubble of video games, like Microsoft is totally focused on getting their PCs out there. Like that is a huge thing. And if they can keep adding value to that without the overhead of console production, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if Phil got up one day and was like, Xbox Series X is it. And now we're just Game Pass and Xbox Game Studios. So we'll see.
Great. Caleb Martin from Abbotsford, British Columbia. He writes in, "Hey, Game Informers. I'm a big fan of From Software and all the all the excessive punishing difficulty that comes with those games. One challenge that I haven't been prepared for, however, is the year-long drought of information on Elden Ring. That was announced, I believe, last year at E3, right?
Yes.
So it has been a really long time. And Dan Tack, every time they do a thing, he's like, oh, maybe Elden Ring. He gets excited.
So Elden Ring is the new, like, maybe they'll announce Bloodborne 2, because you used to say that every event. Like, maybe that'll be the announcement. And now it's like, maybe Elden Ring's the announcement. So that's always, that's just the new Bloodborne 2 for Dan.
Poor man.
Yeah, and it's hard for fans to wait. So that's his point. He says, my question is for you guys this week, what games, either currently or previously, have you been really excited for, and then that you feel like have been silently forgotten? I know it's pretty typical given all the movies that are being put on hold now, but that'll probably start to happen with games too, maybe. What about it? You guys had any games and you remember from the past, you've been like, man, I've been really excited for this game, and then just takes forever to come out?
Final Fantasy VII Remake's probably the most recent example of that, where it was announced in E3 2015, and then like we didn't hear anything for a few years, aside from like small interviews with like Nomura and Katase every now and then. But like it wasn't like, hey, check out this new gameplay trailer or anything like that until like last year, maybe even like the year before that. But like that's probably the closest example that I have.
Yeah, I remember Resident Evil 2 remake. That one basically got announced when they decided they were going to make it. So they hadn't done any work on it yet. And when that happens, that's always like a brutal wait, because you're like, oh man, how long do I have to wait before I hear about this game? I think one now is Skull and Bones, which I began to wonder if that's even going to happen at this point, because it's been so long since they've talked about that game. This is the old pirate game from Ubisoft.
Along those same lines, Gods and Monsters seemed really cool when they announced it a couple years ago at E3, and that's another Ubisoft title that was like being done by the Assassin's Creed Odyssey team. So I love that game, so I'm all in on whatever cool thing they're doing next.
Well, that game looked cool, and it looked a little bit like it was inspired by Breath of the Wild too, which is an extra plus in my book.
Yeah,
most definitely.
But that game kind of dropped off the radar, and we haven't heard anything since.
Yeah, I know I'm going to get hems and haws for this, but stay true to yourself, right? The wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 was agonizing. It just felt like it just kept getting pushed back and back and back, and there was some point where it's like, is it going to be on Xbox? What consoles is it going to be on? And I hadn't played it yet, so my hopes weren't dashed at that point. Yeah,
it was also agonizing to play it.
It made me sad. It still makes me sad. That ending is not my favorite, but I just remember, I love 2. 2 was childhood, playing with other friends, and every year just kept wanting that conclusion, and then I got it eventually. And we move on. You live, you grow, you move on.
I'm glad Kim has you on staff so she can talk to somebody else about this.
Yeah, I feel like I came in and there's literally not a soul at GI who enjoys Kingdom Hearts other than Kim. So
that's accurate.
Yeah.
I used to. Yeah. But then you grow up, you grow past childish things.
Oh boy.
All right, Steve from Buffalo, New York writes in. He says, "Hey guys, I'm sure you're aware of the teaser trailer that dropped for the return of G4, which is coming in 2021. I sure got super excited that they're bringing back all the nostalgia of watching Attack of the Show, X-Play, and Cheat back in the day. I'm actually not familiar with Cheat.
I loved Cheat.
Anyway, he says, as
It was about cheats.
cool as those, it was all about cheats.
Yeah,
crazy.
I think.
As cool as those shows were, it was more about the hosts and the personalities that kept me watching. Do you guys think that they'll be able to reboot the channel successfully and make it current and innovative, or do you think that they will ride on that nostalgia train? I hope that we can get a cameo of some old hosts as they pass the torch and maybe finally apologize to Reiner for getting his name wrong all those years ago."
Love that so much. It's so funny. Probably not to him, but I
think Reiner is over it. But
yeah. I'm excited, and I think the only way that they do maintain that hype is by balancing those two, because I think it's when the release came out of nowhere that they were coming back, there was a plethora of responses from former hosts on Twitter. But yeah, like, I want X-Play to be hosted by Morgan Webb and Adam Sessler. Like, those two made that show, and I don't get the vibe. Like, Sessler's, other than yelling at people on Twitter, he's running like an analytics firm now. I guess I think Morgan Webb's at a dev or something similar now. Unless they offered him a ton of money to come back, I guess I don't know if they'll be a part of it. But yeah, like Sessler Soapbox, some of the skits they used to do were the things I look forward to. I'm also really curious to see how they adapt to the environment that kind of killed them in general in the digital space, because that's the only way that works, right? They can't be a TV show, and I think they've said as much. I can't confirm that, but I can't imagine it's like, tune into channel 64, we're on again. It's like, they have to lean into podcast, esports, like that whole shebang. So
I don't know if they're gonna. I mean, maybe I guess esports would work, but like, I'm thinking like the traditional like programming they've done, like Attack of the Show and X-Play, and I think if they do like shorter versions of those are like made to order on YouTube. Like, those would be awesome. Like, hey, here's our segment on Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I'd check in to see what X-Play or whoever's like manning that ship in 2021 has to say about that, because I used to love that show.
Definitely. And they were starting to do that towards the end. They were doing, I think Patrick Klepek was still at G4 at that point, but they were starting to do podcasts and video podcasts, but there was too much. I think it was just too much to handle with everything going digital.
Well, now they have the vision kind of going in this new age of G4, so hopefully they are prepared for it this time.
Yeah. And I loved Cheat. Was great. Cheat opened a lot of it was cheat codes, but then there was also guides and whatnot. And I feel like I learned about a lot more games than I would have before. I said it on our replay stream last week, like GI and G4 were the two places that I got all my info from when I was growing up. So I'm excited.
Yeah. It's interesting because as a person who has never had cable, I never watched G4, so I don't have any nostalgia for it, but I was certainly aware of the brand. Like, that's how big it was. It's like, oh, this is this thing that's all about video games on TV, which is cool. And it made me want to watch it. If I could have, I'm sure I would have. But like you're saying, it's like, yeah, they're going to have to adapt. It'll be interesting in today's day and age where there's just so much content out there on Twitch, on YouTube, on GameInformer.com, the three pillars of the internet. There's just so much out there. It's like, how are they going to be able to compete? I don't know. But I think that brand still has enough pull that it'll be worth tuning in, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still have an X-Play magnet on my refrigerator.
Oh, do you? That's
yeah.
Great. That's really cool. They just got to make sure they don't bring back like the Cops reruns and some of the garbage that they put on that channel towards the end. Like, keep away from the nerdy the nerd tropes and stuff like that, and I think they'll be just fine.
Well, I think it was that they had pressure to get some ratings, right? So that's why they brought in things like Cops, which is kind of like a stable ratings horse, or used to be.
Yeah.
And if they decouple from having to be a cable channel, that's probably the best thing they could do.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, if they turn into a YouTube channel / podcast network, I think that they're set up pretty nice.
I agree. As long as just keep some of the sexist, gross stuff out of there, and I think they'll be fine. I hope they bring back some of the old hosts. We'll see. So
great. Well, that was the last email, guys. Thanks for joining us for emails. If you have an email that you want to submit to us and let us read it on the podcast or ask us questions, send it to podcast@gameinformer.com, and I am legally obligated to read it. I might not read it on air, but I'll at least read it in some form or another. And now it's the final segment of our show, guys. We like to call Get Wrecked. That's what we're calling the show now. It's the part of the show where we recommend things.
I never want to know a single title for anything until we're live recording it. I think that's so great.
It almost seems like Ben doesn't know a single title.
Sometimes I don't know what the title's going to be. But yeah, Brian Shea, you want to get wrecked?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you have?
Oh, you want me to say something? Okay. So if you are like me, which you probably are not, you are excited for EA Sports UFC 4. And I think that they're doing some really cool stuff with career mode this year, where they're giving a lot of choices to the players. So you create a fighter and you enter into a professional fighting career, and you can like interact with other fighters via social media. You can trash talk them. You can build rivalries. You can build friendships. You can train with different fighters. There's a little like story that they gave me where it was like, you can have a fighter come at you and like train with you, and if you knock him out in training, like your manager will like pull you aside and be like, hey, I recorded that, we can save it in case we fight this guy later. And then you can leak it on social media to the media to like make it like so it builds more hype for the fight, but it would also like affect your relationship with that fighter negatively. So like there's some really cool like choice driven stuff, and like there's all these different like branching storylines that they have implemented this year. It seems really cool. The story went up this morning detailing like doing a deep dive into the career mode, and if you're not typically a sports guy but you like fighting games, maybe give it a read and see what you think of the career mode.
Jeff Cork, anything to recommend?
Yeah, I was thinking when I was playing Grounded, just seeing like how it's changed since we first saw it or last saw it or both. Maybe think about like a game that I really liked a lot from last year was Days Gone, and just to see some of the changes that happened that during the course of development. And we've got like when we wrote the cover story, we visited Sony Bend, and the first hour of gameplay narrated by two of the developers from the team, and they just kind of walk through it. And I think it's fascinating because so much of that changed from the version that you will play if you do play it yourself. Like there are systems in there that are no longer in there just for whatever reason, and some of the flow of the narrative changed a bit. So it's a super interesting look if you're like want to get nerdy about that game, especially if you haven't seen the video yet. It's just like an hour of them talking over the gameplay, but you could see like how things are so much different from how it ended up coming out. Good stuff.
Very nice.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't talk about this in my playlist, but I had recently reviewed Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, which is a sequel to Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. Surprise?
Yep.
Last year's Bloodstained, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the title, is the
Ritual of the Night.
Ritual of the Night. How could I forget? That was the Castlevania one, but Curse of the Moon actually was more inspired by the early NES Castlevania games. So it's definitely side-scrolling action games. You can swap between 4 characters, which is kind of neat. That part's actually pretty cool. The rest of the game is very much an old school action platformer of the NES era. So if you're in the mood for that, great. Here you go. I ended up giving it a 7, but I don't feel like that perfectly encapsulates all my thoughts on it. So you can go read the review online if you want. Alex?
One of my favorite things that we've done at GI is our Spoiled series, where we take games that have come out recently and spoil them, but then we get to break them down in exciting ways, and especially being outside of the office where we can't really have those conversations, it's really refreshing and fun to talk about the things we like. So we just released a Spoiled for Ghost of Tsushima, which I think went really well. It was the reviewer Matt Miller and Joe Juba, who is a great host of those, and it was fun to just unpack everything and have a conversation like things were normal. And I think we give you some great insights, and just it was just a really good conversation. So if you're really liking the game, definitely go check it out. Beat it first, because I think literally within the first 3 minutes, I give you a spoiler warning, but I think we talk about the end in the first like 2 or 3 minutes. So be aware of that, but go check it out when you've beaten it. It's a really good time. And those are two of the smartest guys in video games. Like they're so on point. Or well, Joe likes to think he is, but it's a really good time. So go check that out. So.
Great. Well, that wraps up our show, everybody. Thanks for joining me, guys, on this edition of the Game Informer Show. And thanks for listening or watching. We really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe to the magazine. Leave us a review or whatever. Ring the bell. All those good stuff. And we'll have another episode for you next week. Until then, game on.